everybody. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Scott Ellis. I'm a product marketing specialist for Onset Computer. And today we're going to take a look at a couple of our new products. Just real quickly, here's today's agenda. We're going to go quickly over who Onset Computer is, and then dive into the UX120 4-channel Pulse Logger, then the E50B2 energy and power meter, and then touch on some frequently asked questions, and then get into your questions. As always, if there are any questions that come up, please feel free to type those into the chat, and I'll try to address those as we go along. So who is Onset Computer? I guess we're better known as the HOBO data logger people. Onset's mission is to be the leader in portable data loggers. 2011 is our 30th year anniversary. We were founded in 1981. We're a privately held company that now employs over 120 folks. We have a 40,000 square foot facility that's located in Bourne, Massachusetts. From hardware to firmware to software, everything is designed and manufactured here at our facility on Cape Cod. And to date, we've sold over 1.5 million HOBO data loggers. So here are our two new products. On the left, we have the HOBO UX120 Pulse Logger, and on the right, we have our E50B2 energy and power meter. We're first going to take a look at the UX120 Pulse Logger. This product's available in two memory options. The standard will allow you to record 500,000 measurements, where the extended memory will allow you to record up to 4 million measurements. It does have 4 inputs, and across those inputs you can record either states, events, runtime, and or pulses. And basically you can mix and match among all the different channels. And I'll dive into those different measurement capabilities in just a minute. This does use USB 2.0 technology for fast offload, so we can download 4 million measurements in just under 1.5 minutes. The pulse and runtime modes support the normal logging intervals, which go from 1 second to 18 hours, and we have a 1-year user replaceable battery life. We're using 2 AA batteries in there. Some additional specifications on the logging modes. When you're in pulse mode, we can accept pulses up to as quick as 120 pulses per second, or 120 hertz. The state, event, and runtime mode has a time resolution of 1 hertz or 1 second. From third-party sensors that give pulse outputs, we can now accept up to 24 volts DC. And a unique feature to this logger is the variable bit logging that you can adjust within HOBOware. And what that means is you can adjust how many bits are being used based upon the frequency of the pulses. So essentially what you're doing is you're maximizing the amount of memory that you can use. Well, we've got some new features here, and really a lot of this comes into input from you all. You know, there's been a bunch of requests over the years, and so we've been able to incorporate some of this stuff. The first one is not only to have just a start button, but also make it a stop button. So when you're out in the field, you can push the stop button, it'll stop the logger, so you don't have any extra data when you're bringing the logger back in from the field. Next is the LED. The green LED, you can actually see it in full sunlight now. Kind of funny, we had a bunch of engineers standing out in the parking lot on a sunny day looking at 8 to 10 different green LEDs blink. It was kind of a funny sight, but at the end of the day, this LED you can see in full sunlight, so it's definitely a nice little enhancement. Our waiting and delayed start LED is a yellow-orange color, which you can also see out in full sunlight. We've got mounting tabs on either side of the logger. Another new feature here is the activity LEDs in the test button. And what this does is you can push on the test button and it'll activate these LEDs for 10 minutes. So every time you receive a signal from a sensor and the logger receives the signal, the LEDs are going to flash for you. So it just gives you confirmation that the logger is actually receiving the information from whatever you have this hooked up to. We do have a USB port on the side. And these are standard screw mount terminals to connect your sensors. And finally, we do have a flame retardant housing. So taking a look at the different recording modes, there's an event, a pulse, a state, and a runtime mode. This is really just kind of a quick overview here on this slide, and what we're going to do is take a little bit of a deeper look at these different modes and what they'll kind of do for you. We'll first take a look at the event mode, which basically this records the closing of a normally open contact closure. So what happens is the data logger is looking every second, and it doesn't record anything until it sees a closing of that contact closure. So in the graph here, you can see what the contact closure is doing, at which point our logger will then record when that count happens. In this mode, there is a 1-second time resolution. So if you do happen to see 2 pulses in 1 second, it's actually going to only record the first event for you. Typical applications are turnstiles, where you're counting people going into an event, product usage, how many times did a toilet flush, and maintenance log, how often is a power tool used. Now, in the cases of where you may be getting more events happening than 1 second, you'll really want to take a look at what we call our pulse logging mode, which this mode here essentially allows you to bin your events or your pulses over a particular logging interval. So you're able to go in and set your logging interval from 1 second to every 18 hours. Now, in the graph that I'm showing here, basically I have a 1-minute logging interval. And as you can see, we've had 4 pulses that occurred in the first minute. So your data is going to read that you have, at 10:01, you've had 4 pulses. Now, through the software, you can also scale what those pulses are going to be. So, for example, 1 kilowatt per pulse, and so on with the rest of the graph there. Common applications for the pulses are typically connecting up to third-party sensors, in particular the E50B2 power and energy meter, the watt node kilowatt hour transducer. Sorry. Okay, I just got a message here that the slides aren't advancing, so let me see if this is going to advance here for us. So again, we have the water flow and the BTU meter. I'm going to switch slides now, so hopefully everybody sees this switching. And we're now going to take a look at the state modes. And what this does here, if somebody can just confirm that actually did switch, that would be great. Yes, we saw it. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, and yes, this will be available for download afterwards. We put all of our webinars up on YouTube. So the state mode, this is a little different than the event mode. What the state mode does is it's going to tell you the time in between something has opened and closed or a contact closure. Whereas the event mode, that's just simply a counter. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Again, this has a 1-second time resolution. So in the graph, what we're looking at here, the black line is what your contact closure is doing versus the red line is what your HOBO is actually seeing. So on the first second, the HOBO sees that it's in an off state, and then it goes high, so you're now in an on state, and then again it drops low and you're in an off state. Now, in the case of where you may have 2 state changes occur in the same second, the logger's not going to pick it up because really the logger is looking here, so it misses these 2 seconds. And since it's still in an off state, it doesn't actually record anything. So again, with the states, it's going to look every second and not record anything until a state change is actually switched. Common applications for state changes is you want to know how long something's been running. You can use the AC current switch, which is shown down here, to connect up to a line and an AC power line and tell when a motor's turned on and off. Or if you want to see when doors or contact closures are opening and closing. The last mode is something that we call Runtime Mode, which is actually new to most of our users. This mode, it's going to still tell you the time in between opening and closing, but it does it over your logging interval. So before, with the state changes, it was giving you every time something changed within a second. Now what you're going to see is you set your logging interval, let's say for 1 minute or 15 minutes or half an hour, whatever you'd like. In this case, in the graph, what you're looking at is 1 minute. So at 10:01, we get a data point, and it shows that this was 75% on. The data output, you can switch that within HOBOware in terms of what works best for you. So you can do it in percent on or off, or time on, which is in hours, minutes, and seconds, or off. So it gives you some flexibility there. And again, common applications, looking at when things are turning on and off or doors opening and closing. The real major difference between, again, between the states and the runtime is that it's going to give it to you on your closest logging interval. So we've added additional features in here to really maximize your time out in the field rather than being stuck in front of a computer the whole time. So when you go to set this up, we now have multiple start and stop options. The first is being able to set your start time, which you've always been able to do, but now you can actually set a particular date and time of when you want this to stop. Again, we have the push button, start and stop, which is on the front of the logger, and you can set that as well. So you just push that button and the logger will stop. The other way to stop the logger is when your memory's full. So you've used 500,000 measurements and the logger up and stops. What we've brought back in this particular product is something called wrap when full or continuous logging. So what will happen is when you've hit your 500,000 measurements, it'll begin overwriting your oldest data, so you always have the most latest 500,000 measurements. Got a quick question here on will the push button start and stop override the program time? That is an excellent question. I don't believe it does, but that's something that I will need to confirm for you, so we'll take a look at that. Next, when you're going to set this up in the launch menu, as you can see, this is a part of your launch menu, and you can set each channel. In this case, I'm recording in all different modes on all 4 channels, and you can easily go in and set your name and give it a description, set your scaling, and then, again, here on runtime, percent time open or closed. So the data, another new feature is you can download your logger when it has a dead battery by using USB power. So you get back, it's been over a year, the logger's no longer functioning, plug it into your computer, it'll get direct USB power, and then you can download it and then change your batteries from there. And finally, this is compatible with the HOBO U shuttle. So that's an overview of the UX120 4-channel Pulse Logger. One quick question, can we use rechargeable batteries? We actually don't recommend using rechargeable batteries in any of our products. The main reason why is the battery voltage is actually a lot less than a typical lithium or alkaline battery, and they just don't perform as well. And typically, most applications, the data logger is not going to be connected to a USB port, plus we don't have a recharging circuit in there. So we do recommend sticking with the alkaline, or if you're in colder environments down to -40, or in really hot environments, say over 160, 170 degrees, going with the lithium batteries, they'll actually perform better. And again, the battery life is 1 year. We're using 2 AA batteries in there. So we're going to move on here and take a look at the E50B2 energy and power meter. This is a neat little product. It's the big thing that I like about it is it really provides maximum flexibility. With one particular unit here, it's going to be good for all applications, whether you are recording on 120 volt or single phase to a 240 or 480 volt 3-phase, or all the way up to 600 volts, or whether it's a Y or a delta configuration. This particular unit is going to cover it all for you. It will also accept standard CTs out there, ranging anywhere from 5 amps up to 32,000 amps. In terms of the output of this sensor, it's giving our logger 3 pulse outputs essentially, and those relate to watt hours for real energy, var hours for reactive energy, and then amp hours. And what you can do is, by using those 3 parameters, you can then calculate the rest of the parameters that you see below here, which include kilowatts, kilowatt hours, and power factor. The HOBOware software will, when you're using this with the UX120 logger, will do those calculations for you. So really we see this as being essential to a part of anybody's toolkit. Like other meters out there, or I should say unlike other meters out there, where they're specific to a Y or a delta, or you need something for 240 or 480 volts, really this one unit is going to do it all for you. So taking a look at the unit itself from a top-level view, you have the display on the top with keypads, and so it allows you to easily go through and configure the meter itself. And some of that configuration that you need to do is be able to go in and tell it what voltage you're recording, or what voltage you're on, what size CTs you have plugged into it. And then from there, it also gives you real-time feedback, so you can see what's going on in real time. If you ever need to walk up to it, you can actually scroll through and see what your power factor is, or your kilowatt hours and kilowatts. And then there's some troubleshooting diagnostics that the display will show for you as well. So there's a whole bunch of tips, troubleshooting guides that we have on our website that you can take a look at that. And to answer the question, yes, you can see the volts and the amps in real time on the power meter as well. So basically, all of these measurements that we have here, including the watts and the volts and the amps and the volt amp hours, you're going to be able to see that on the display. So next, taking a look at the E50B2 and where does it fit within our overall product mix. Really, it's compatible with all of our different platforms. We have a standalone, a wireless, and a web-based platform. And just to touch on those briefly, what we mean by standalone is that the logger's battery operated, typically downloads by USB. It's something that you're gonna set it up, record it, put it out in the field, and then go out and retrieve it and download it. So this is going to work again with the UX120, and then also with our H22 energy logger. Looking at the wireless networks, also known as our ZW data nodes, what that brings to the table is basically wireless data loggers that's a mesh network that communicate all the way back to a receiver, at which point you're able to see what's going on in real time to your computer, and the data is being stored right there. So this meter is going to work with that. And then finally, we get into the remote access or web-based logging systems, which come into the U30, where you can communicate over cellular networks. We're compatible with the AT&T and T-Mobile networks, or by Wi-Fi or Ethernet. And essentially, your data is being transmitted where you can view it and also download it to our secure web server, which is called HOBOLink.com. So we really see this E50B2 energy and power meter fitting into all of our different products here. These are some of the more common applications out there that folks will be using this with. I'm sure we're all aware of most of these, but again, the flexibility of not only the meter but your different logging options will really allow you to do a variety of things with this. And just before I move on, one quick question: is there weatherproof housing for the UX120 and the E50B2? Great question. We don't have one at this point, but we could have one that's available. As you probably saw, this is co-branded with Veris Industries, and I believe they do offer weatherproof enclosure for the E50B2, and then you can certainly get something pretty standard for the UX120. So although it's not on the website right now, let me jot that down and we'll see what we can do here for you. So that wraps up the overview on the E50B2, and we're just going to take a quick look at some of the frequently asked questions here. The product's been out now for a little over a month, and we've had a couple questions come in. The first one is on the UX120, can you upgrade the memory? And no, you can't, so you must choose wisely. But when you look in the manual, it's going to give you options and tell you, what does 500,000 versus 4 million measurements actually mean? So you can determine which is the best fit for you. The next, how does the state and event work with the runtime pulses? So as you saw in the screenshot, I had all four different logging modes going at the same time. And essentially, the UX120 is smart enough to know the difference between synchronous and asynchronous data. So it knows that it needs to record at a logging interval on the runtime and the pulses, where the state and event is looking every second or so. And actually, in terms of your current transformers, the E50B2 is going to accept industry standard sensors. So as long as it has a 333 millivolt output or a 1 volt DC output, the CT is going to work with the E50B2. So you don't need to buy a special Onset CT. And finally, do the CTs need to be faced towards the source? I believe you find in a lot of cases that is the case, but with the E50B2 it's not. The meter itself is not sensitive to the CT orientation and actually takes that into account. So it really allows for ease of use in the field, so you don't have to worry about getting a CT put on the wrong way. So before we dive into your questions, which there are quite a few coming through here, be sure to check out our YouTube site. It's youtube.com/HOBODataLoggers. We have a lot of good training materials up there. This is usually where we post all of our webinars, as well as a bunch of other tips and tricks. We'll continue to add to that, so be sure to check that out. So give me a second here. We've got a bunch of questions that have come across, and let me just take a look. And I guess for the first one here, What does HOBO stand for? It's actually not an acronym. We just capitalize the word HOBO. It's the name of the product. I'm sure somebody creative can think of something. Name. In terms of the meters, for the watt meter, the E50B2, we do sell the CT separately. So basically, you can purchase a wide range of different CTs. On our website, we have them ranging from 5 amps up to 600 amps, and then of course you can go out to companies like MagnaLab or Veris to get additional or larger size CTs. Another question, are there voltage leads included with each energy meter? Great question. They're not actually included with each one. Those are actually sold separately, and we have a kit which has not only the wiring from the data logger to the meter itself, but it also includes 600 volt leads. We didn't include those with every single meter because there are a lot of folks that already have this wire available. I get a question on the memory capacity of the E50B2. That actually doesn't have, it has a little bit of buffering on it, but really the storage capacity is going to happen when this is coupled with one of the HOBO data loggers. So you have a couple different options, you know, in terms of what data loggers you can connect that up to, whether it's a U30 or the UX120. Another question, what is the limitation of using a 0 to 200 amp CT with smaller applications? General rule of thumb on CTs in general, you don't want to record below 10% of their range. So really on a 200 amp sensor, you're going to want to make sure that your amp draw is somewhere between 20 and 200 amps. You know, obviously, folks try to, you know, use as many CTs as possible, but yeah, you'll want to size it as best you can. Is HOBOware integrated with the product? HOBOware is not. HOBOware is an additional purchase. It's $99. If you currently own HOBOware, the latest version is 3.2, which is a free download off of our website, which I'll just flip over here. And you come to support and down to software updates. So you can download the latest version. And we actually do have a 30-day trial available if you want to try out the software, and then you can buy a license after that. Bear with me here. There's a lot of great questions coming in, so keep them coming. Thank you very much. And do the wireless function like the UX120? No, the ZW's product line does not have the ability to do events, states, and runtime. It can only do pulses. So you can connect it up to an E50B2 or even a watt node meter, but it doesn't have the ability to do state changes. Another question, does it provide alarms based upon defined input values? The system does not provide alarms. You will be able to see the real-time readings, and there you could do something potentially creative using the U30, which is the remote access, while it's connected up to the E50B2, but we do not have alarm capabilities. I talked briefly about a U-shuttle, and I apologize. I assumed that I made an assumption that everybody knows what it is that I'm talking about. So what is the U-shuttle? And the U-shuttle, it's a data shuttle. And what that is basically a data transporter. So rather than bringing your laptop out into the field, you are able to basically take this product, it's a handheld product, go out into the field and download multiple data loggers into this one shuttle, and then bring this back to your computer to see what's going on. Okay, well, here we go. While measuring power on a fan equipped with VFDs, where will the CTs be installed? They do recommend that it's installed after the variable frequency drive. The meter itself is rated to 50 to 60 hertz. So, you know, it's really not going to work well above or below that. So, if you could do that after the VFD, that would be good. Yes, in terms of the whole system itself and what do you need to actually get up and running, we've got this link here on our website, and what this does is essentially it combines the two products. So you have the UX120 and the meter itself. And then from there, taking a look, we do have the different amp sensors that are available, but basically it's all a la carte. And I will say bear with us because we are working on one kit that actually provides everything for you. So that will be coming out in the next month or so. Another excellent question, actually. What does this do that a watt node can't do to merit 2 times the cost? That's a really excellent question. The watt node is a fantastic product, but there are certainly the major limitation is that can only record kilowatt hours. So if that's all you're interested in, the watt node is a good product for you. The E50B2 does give you the ability to get kilowatts, kilowatt hours, reactive hours, power factor, all that sort of good stuff. In addition, the watt nodes are typically, you either need to get a 240 or a 480 watt node. When you combine those two prices, you're getting very close to the $599 price of the E50B2. And again, going out into the field, you just pull this one item out of your toolbox rather than, you know, did I get the right one? You know, and you put that out there and deploy it. I've got a bunch of questions on variable frequency drives, and I'll be honest with you, I'm going to want to talk to some of my contacts to answer these questions. So I will follow up. There will be a follow-up email. Again, there's a ton of great questions in here, and I want to answer them more completely for everybody. So I will follow up with everybody after this, as well as a link to where you can download this entire presentation off of our site here. So. Finally, well, I see that I'm running over here, but there's still questions coming in. So to all you folks that are here, I'm going to get a couple more questions here, but again, I will follow up with you. So is it necessary to purchase fuse connections? It is recommended that you purchase fuses. Just to be careful. The Veris folks definitely recommend it, and we do have those available. And basically, you're going to want to purchase one for each voltage input. So if you have a 3-phase system, you'll want to purchase 3 of those. Does the E50 record any data or just calculate based upon the CTs and the voltage? Excellent question. Like I said, it does have a little bit of a buffer on it. So if you had the E50 installed out there on the field and not a data logger with it, you would be able to see what's going on in real time, and it'll store some cumulatives there. But you can't access that memory, so you do need to have this connected up to one of the data loggers, whether it's the UX120 or one of the other logging systems to be able to get that information. All right, well, it looks like questions have slowed down here, so let me just flip back over and give you some of my contact information here. Again, thank you very much for taking the time. I hope everybody found this useful. I will be following up and sending an email to everybody that attended here today, as well as a link. If you need to get in touch with me, that is me, with my contact information. We have expanded our technical support hours to cover our friends out on the West Coast, so we're available 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, you can always get us by our email address. And then, of course, we have 5 people in our product applications group to answer any of these questions here that you've had coming in, and in terms of compatibility and what exactly do I need. If you're looking to order one of these systems, you're going to want to pick up the phone and talk to Corey, Jack, Eileen, Ed, or Matt at the 800 number there, and they'll be able to get you all taken care of. So again, thank you, and have a great day.